Eritrea has been in the grip of war for 27 years now. Most fighters on the front line are too young to remember when it all began, but that doesn't lessen the amount of bloodshed or the viciousness of the fighting. These pictures, taken by the rebels, capture the brutality of the latest battle on the outskirts of Afobet. At one point, retreating Ethiopian soldiers were forced into this narrow valley, where Liberation Front fighters were waiting in ambush for them. There was little chance of escape as flames engulfed tanks and trucks. Burnt-out vehicles blocked the only road to safety. Days afterwards, the bodies have been cleared away, but the valley resembles a vast scrapyard. The mangled wreckage bears witness to the heavy losses suffered by the Ethiopians. In the newly captured town of Afobet, there's evidence everywhere of the close ties between the Soviet Union and the Ethiopians. The hammer and sickle stands at the entrance of the army's now almost deserted headquarters. Soviet officers fight alongside Ethiopians. The rebels took 3 of them prisoner in the recent fighting. The EPLF regards the capture of 3 Soviet officers in the battle for Afobet as a major advance. They say they haven't decided what to do with them yet, and they're still being debriefed. They're not prepared to let us film them at this stage, but it's clear that they're hoping this development will force the Soviet Union to look again at the situation here. The Eritreans' hope is that the Soviet Union will decide that the cost of backing a government that's in retreat is too great, and if they did withdraw support, the supply of weapons to the Ethiopians would dry up. The EPLF says this would put their victory within easy reach. The Eritreans say they've captured or killed 18,000 Ethiopians. These prisoners of war are packed into any buildings that are available, partly to protect them from Ethiopian MiG fighter planes that patrol the skies. Although the rebels say this is their most important victory, there is a price to pay. The Ethiopians aren't their only enemies. The fight against famine is far from being won. The new prisoners will drain already limited resources, as will the thousands of extra mouths to feed in newly captured territories.
Since these military developments, the situation is changing quite rapidly, and we need to really keep a close eye on the situation. It now appears that probably about 15%, i.e. another 100,000 people, will only be reached through the distribution centres of the Eritrean Relief Association. So that has major implications on the food needs in this area and how it can get in.
So the military victory, in fact, is going to help in terms of food distribution for people in Eritrea?
I think what it means is that the major agencies now have to recognise more than ever the need to bring food aid through this channel, through the Eritrean Relief Association from the north.
Away from the front line, the Eritreans have managed to establish an impressive administration in areas under their control. Hospitals like this one in Arota, for instance, work efficiently despite having to be heavily camouflaged against air attack. In the 3 operating theatres, they can carry out sophisticated work, including plastic surgery. Visitors like Glenys Kinnock are invariably surprised at what can be done. Even Western doctors say they're impressed by what's achieved.
They're very well organised, and that's something also we had not really expected. We've heard about it, but we hadn't quite expected that. They have great discipline, they have a tremendous fighting morale and also operating morale.
Coping with feeding people during a famine is a much more difficult prospect. Wells like this one have been built with the help of groups like War on Want. These nomadic women have all the water they need. But elsewhere in Eritrea, relief agencies say 700,000 people need food and water urgently. It's widely acknowledged that a key problem in getting money to the Eritreans is the politics of the fighting. Countries friendly with Ethiopia don't want to be seen to be giving aid to its enemies. This seriously limits the amount of money that gets through. The feeling is, though, that unless more relief is channeled directly to Eritrea, then there could be a famine as bad as that of 4 years ago.